Welcome aboard Norwegian Encore. She is the biggest, newest and most exciting cruise ship for Norwegian Cruise Line. You might know her as the ship that has a laser tag course, she has go-karts, she has water slides hanging off the side, but there is so much more to love about the ship than just the go-karts. In this video I'd like to talk to you about the 7 things that I loved about this ship, most of which are free, and the one thing that I think really lets this ship down. When I cruise, one thing that's really important to me is food. The main dining rooms on this cruise ship are fantastic, and Norwegian will not tell you about it because of course they want you to go in their specialty restaurants. I normally cruise with Norwegian because the food is generally really good and I love the freestyle dining aspect. This is the Manhattan room. It is a massive main dining room split over 2 floors. It has got these huge windows and I just love it. Norwegian do have a lot of specialty restaurants on board Norwegian Encore, but you don't have to spend any extra money when you're cruising with Norwegian on food if you don't want to. The food in the main dining room is perfectly good, there's loads of options and the menu changes every single day. You normally don't have to table share. You might have to wait if you're getting there at a particularly busy time, but I've never really had any problem on Norwegian cruises. They do have music playing here sometimes in the evening. They'll have a singer, they might have an orchestra, and it just makes the atmosphere of this place really, really lovely. Dinner in the main dining room can take a bit longer than on other cruise lines where you do have a set dining time. I think this is just because people are coming constantly, so the chefs have to make starters for some people, desserts for others, main courses. I imagine it gets very, very confusing. They do a fantastic job of it and the food is always great, but you might just have to wait a little bit longer than you would on other cruise lines. This is actually my 10th cruise with Norwegian Cruise Line, and one of the main reasons that I keep going back to them is that they have no dress codes, they have no set dining times, and I really, really like that when I cruise. It's all very freestyle, it's all very fun, and I would definitely recommend it. This isn't the only main dining room that there is on board, there's also 2 more, one called Savour and one called Taste. I love the main dining rooms on Norwegian cruises and I think that they are massively underrated. You can eat just in the main dining room, just the free food, and you'll be more than happy on this cruise. The buffet is also huge and there's loads of variety. There's also a pub style place called The Local where you can get free food 24 hours a day, so you really don't have to spend extra money on food if you don't want to. Between Taste and Savour there is this bar called Mix. You'll find quite a lot of people hanging out here in the evening. The District Brew House is one of my favourite places on this ship because I've never seen anything quite like it on a cruise before. It is a brew house. They have 25 beers on tap and 50 more I think in bottles. They also have cocktails on tap, which I've never been to a place with cocktails on tap. I really like the design of this bar. It's kind of a biker themed bar. It's a bit edgy and I really like it. It's got these massive windows on the side so you can sit with a beer and watch the world go by. It's very popular in the evening, but I can see why. In the corner there is a photo booth. I believe you would have to pay for this if you are cruising with Norwegian, although I can't find any evidence about how much it costs. I was on a media preview cruise, so I managed to get some of mine done for free. It's very silly, quite fun, but not something I would actually pay for. I did stick my photo to the board there, so if you're cruising on Norwegian Encore and my photo is still there, please do let me know. What I like about this ship is that it is so huge, so there is a venue to suit everybody. For me personally, I would be in the mojito bar having a raspberry mojito. My boyfriend Jono would be in the whiskey bar, and if you're someone who likes beer, you'd probably be in here. The observation lounge has got to be on this list as one of my favourite things because it is huge, it's so well decorated, there's so many comfortable seats and it's the best place just to get a drink and relax. Cruise ships this big can be quite busy and it can be quite overwhelming, so it's really nice to have this massive lounge where you know you can get a seat. You can get food too, breakfast will be in here in the morning. It is of course a cut down version of what you'll find in the buffet, but I think that's a very nice touch. It's difficult on video to get across how big this lounge is. These sides go right down the side of the ship and they also go right the way around the front. All of the cushions match and I just really like the decor in this place. I love little things like this on the side. There's just a really good attention to detail on here with matching cushions and books. I really like the decor. It's all very modern, it's all very clean. I'm getting Scandinavian vibes from this lounge. I'm not sure if that's just me, but I really like it anyway. Onto the front, this is my favourite part of the lounge because it has these massive glass windows with these huge lights. To the left up there you'll actually find the buffet, so when you're in the buffet you can look down into this lounge and onto the sea. They have a piano here, sometimes they have singers and they have bands going on. At night this place really comes alive and in the day it's just the perfect place to get a drink and sit down. There's a bar here too, so you can get a cup of tea in the day or you can get a drink in the evening. A lot of people seem to come here to do their work. We were on a media cruise, so a lot of people were working away on their laptops, and I sat here and I updated my Instagram story. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please do. My Instagram username is Emma Cruises. When I do go on a cruise, I'm constantly updating my Instagram story so that you can see what a cruise on these ships is actually like. No Norwegian video can be complete without talking about the waterfront. The waterfront is a signature thing for Norwegian Cruise Line, and I love it. It's basically bars and restaurants that line the promenade deck, and you're going to have to use your imagination a bit here because it was miserable on the day that I filmed this. This place is so nice. Imagine you are here and you're eating your dinner, you're in the Caribbean maybe, the sun is setting, and it's just such a good space. The waterfront is extra nice if you don't have your own balcony because it kind of becomes your giant balcony. I cruised on Norwegian Getaway in an inside cabin, and we spent a lot of time just sitting on the promenade deck, reading a book, having a drink, and pretending it was our own giant private balcony. Most of the specialty restaurants will have their own sections outside, so you can decide if you want to sit inside or outside. A lot of the bars also have sections here too, and the Cavern Club at the end has its own section as well. Norwegian Encore has the biggest go-kart track at sea, and it actually overhangs the edge of the cruise ship. You either pay for one go or you can buy a pass which pays for the entire cruise. I believe the price will be around $15 for one go or $199 for an entire cruise. The Speedway and the laser tag do have their own section of the cruise ship here, and if we turn around you can see the water slides on the right hand side, which terrify me. It goes right over the edge and it is see-through, and that is an absolute no from me. There's no way I'm going on that water slide. Let me know in the comments if you would go on it. If you would, you're a braver person than me. Walking up to the go-kart track now, you can see on the left hand side that is how much the go-kart track actually goes over the edge of the cruise ship. You can't really notice when you're up there and you're on the course, but it's quite scary to see from down here. They do go quite fast actually, considering that they're on a cruise ship. They're proper go-karts, they're not mini versions or anything, they're the same sort that you'd find on land. And it is a very, very cool thing to have on a cruise ship. It does make Norwegian Encore instantly recognisable. If you ever see a cruise ship with a massive go-kart track on the back, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be a Norwegian Cruise Line cruise. Over there as well you can see the top of the water slide. The water slide actually has a dropping floor, so you stand on it and the floor drops away and you fall down, and it just sounds terrifying to be honest. It was really quite wet during our cruise. It rained a lot, but people still went on the go-karts. I'm sure they do close them if the weather is particularly bad, but a little bit of rain is not going to stop the race. On to the laser tag now. This is right at the back of the ship and it takes up quite a lot of space. I didn't really realise how big this laser tag course would be, but you play a normal game of laser tag here. It's got a theme of snakes and pillars, and it's not normally supposed to be this wet, but as I said, it was raining a lot during this cruise. I think this looks really cool, and I think it's been designed really well. You would have no idea walking around here that you were on a cruise ship, apart from the fact you can kind of see the ocean behind the giant snake, which is just an odd sentence to say about a cruise ship, to be honest. They've done it very, very well. I think it's very cool, and it's not something you'd expect to do on a cruise, is it? There's also a big emphasis on board into VR and augmented reality, and they have this place called Galaxy Pavilion, which is just lots and lots of VR games in crazy, crazy setups. They're really fun to watch even if you don't have a go yourself. They have full-size cars, they have wind machines, they've got all kinds of things going on here. It does feel very, very surreal when you're in this area. They have one game here called Walk the Plank, where you walk the plank in VR, which sounds absolutely terrifying. Let me know if you try that in the comments. Another thing that Norwegian do really well, I would argue they do it better than any other cruise line, is solo cruising. They have these solo cabins which I think are really, really nice. Here is one with balloons outside, which means that I could have a sneak peek. This cabin does have a single bed on the right hand side, which makes sense for a single cabin. Some of the other Norwegian cruise ships do have slightly bigger beds, but I think they just took up too much room, to be honest. So they have gone for a single bed in this cabin. On the side we have got a pretend window, and this is a camera. That's the weather that we dealt with during our cruise. This cabin's got everything that the normal cabins have, just on a smaller scale, and I think it is perfect for solo cruisers. I would be more than happy here. There's plenty of wardrobe space for a solo cruiser. You can also use that window as a one-way window to the corridor, which sounds mysterious but very interesting. Everything that's in this cabin you would find in an inside or a balcony cabin, but it's basically just on a smaller scale in here and for one person. You also have a TV here with a very long remote, I would argue an unnecessarily long remote, but hey, the TV's great. There's loads of things you can do on the TV. You can book your entertainment, you can book your dining, you can check your onboard account, you can do so much more than just watch TV. We've got some more hanging space on this side as well, so there's loads of storage for one person. The bathroom area is in the main cabin, so we've got the sink and the glasses there. This is inside the main cabin, this is not a separate area. The shower here too is just inside the cabin. It is a solo room, so you don't really need to have a separate shower. The toilet, however, on the left hand side is in its own little room. I assume you could have your friends back to your room, and it would be a bit strange just to be using the toilet in a room with your friends there. So I suppose that makes sense that that is a separate room. It's also probably more hygienic to have the toilet in a little room. But I really like it, I think it looks really nice. The design of this cabin is very similar to the other cabins on board. I will be bringing you a tour of my balcony cabin, so make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that. When I cruise, I spend a lot of time in the buffet. I know some people don't ever even go in the buffet when they cruise, but I go in there a lot. So on the right hand side here we have got some sinks. There is hand sanitizer here too at the entrance to the buffet, but they've put it inside the walls rather than being in your way, which I would argue means people will find it easier to walk past it. That said, Norwegian Cruise Line are generally really good at hand sanitizing and hygiene, and they'll often have a staff member there telling you to hand sanitize before you go into the buffet. The buffet itself is absolutely massive. I think it's probably the biggest buffet I've ever seen on a cruise ship. The buffet goes down both sides around the front, and it also has this bonus section in the middle. You'll find a bar there on the right, and you will find more seating. The variety offered in the buffet is massive, and all of the food is really, really good. Norwegian are definitely one of my favourite cruise lines for food, and I could quite happily just eat in the buffet for a week and I would be more than happy. The buffet itself is split up into different cuisines, so you might have a Chinese section, a Indian section, a bread section, a fruit section. There's loads of sections on board and loads of choice. To the side here we have got seating. We've got seating that goes all the way along both sides of the ship and around the front. There's a lot of seats. We didn't ever have any problem getting a seat on this cruise ship because we would always walk just to the front. Here we've got some drinks. We've got water and ice. We have got juices because it is breakfast time. We've got tea and we have coffee. This is the area at the back where I would normally sit, and there are also some toilets here too, which is good because by the time you've walked this far into the buffet, you're very far away from anything else. Here we have an ice cream machine, and moving along to the other side, this side is a mirror image of the other side. I like these little boards that they have that tell you what the section is. I'm sure it's much easier for them to change an electronic board rather than change out the physical boards like a lot of the older cruise ships have. The thing that I think lets down this ship is the lack of top deck space and pools. There's only 2 very small pools on board for almost 4,000 guests, and this section in the middle of the ship is the only place where you'll find free sun loungers. At the back of the ship you've got the laser tag and the go-karts, which take up a massive amount of top deck space. At the front you'll find the Vibe and also the Haven, which you have to pay extra for to go in there. I just worry about almost 4,000 people trying to sit here on a sunny day. I'm not sure that I would pick her to cruise on for a warm weather cruise because I normally cruise in inside cabins, and it's important to me that I can get outside and have my own space, and I just worry that I wouldn't be able to do that on Norwegian Encore. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to cruise on Norwegian Encore. I think she's a very fun and very exciting ship. I do have a full ship tour coming, so make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.